Hello and welcome to another edition of Media Watch. On today's program we're going to have a story about new garbage regulations in Vancouver which warrant the use of garbage police.
In addition to, we have a story on the world's cheapest car from CBC News. Now it may be cheap, but could it also mean that that comes at a price of its own?
And finally today, we've got a story from Global BC about UBC students and some of the amazing stunts they've pulled. Those are the stories. This is the program. You're with Media Watch.
As Aaron MacArthur reports tonight, the District of North Vancouver is taking this very seriously, assigning garbage police to the daily collection.
A trip to the dump might end up costing you more than you bargained for this year. New restrictions on what can and can't be chucked came in on January 1st. And not following the rules could result in a pretty hefty fine.
Fine worth is 50% of the tipping fees. So basically it works out that you're going to pay 50% more to dispose of loads that contain banned materials.
Despite the threat of fines, material which has no business in the dump is there anyway. At the North Van transfer station, a pile of spoiled produce still in its packing crates was clearly visible. While most people want to do the right thing, some, it seems, need to have the garbage police come down on them.
The opportunities are there for getting them into the appropriate streams. It's not a lot of extra work involved, but if you don't want to comply, there is that financial penalty involved.
It's not just at the dump where the bylaw officers are going to catch up with you if you're breaking the rules. The District of North Vancouver is planning on sending out inspectors ahead of its pickup crews. The idea here is not to punish people, at least not yet.
If we end up having to leave an excessive amount of weekly garbage on the sidewalk or whatever, the intent is to say, look, you need to take a look at what you can recycle, try wherever possible, reduce the amount, and if it means that you have a lot more 1 week than you can put out there, then you're going to have to hold on a week and then put it out the next week.
Just because of the new rules, it doesn't mean you can't take banned items to the transfer station. Metal can be dropped off for free, it's recycled. Tires can be disposed of. Everything just needs to be separated first. It's only 9 days into the ban. As people get used to the idea, it should, in theory, mean less garbage in the landfills.
In India, it's being touted as the car that will bring mobility to the masses. But in a country of 1 billion people, what about the massive pollution? The CBC's Havard Gould reports.
Not only is it the cheapest car in the world, at this moment, it is also the most important. The Nano is a vehicle that, just for starters, is expected to transform India.
We are a country of 1 billion people, and most of them are denied connectivity. I hope that we can make a change.
In India today, only about 7 in every 1,000 own a car. But later this year, for a little more than the price of the ubiquitous scooter, people will be able to buy a vehicle. Eventually, it will mean better and safer transportation for millions. But some despair over the traffic and pollution to come. Not necessary, they say, if only enough money could be invested in buses and trains.
While of course this represents a failure of transport policy, it also represents, in my view, a lack of willingness to tackle something that really society needs. So it's a failure of corporate social responsibility.
At least, some say, it is small, carrying up to 5 people with a small 2-cylinder engine with fewer emissions than a North American car.
It's hypocritical for us to criticize India for wanting to have the same standard of living of us.
But at a time when many argue it is critical to reduce emissions immediately, there will be more sources, many more.
We're talking about selling 10, 15, 20 million of these cars. that's just going to mess up the pollution levels in India and create more greenhouse gases that are going to keep heating the planet up.
Experts say it won't stop with India because a new category of vehicle is being created. A car so inexpensive it will be affordable to millions of people in developing countries around the world.
All the Japanese automakers, the Korean automakers, everybody is looking at this, and what you're going to see is a host of imitations.
For better or worse, the car and its impact are already being compared to the groundbreaking Volkswagen Beetle. And perhaps appropriately, the Nano even shares the same slogan. Howard Gould, CBC News, Toronto.
UBC engineers at it again, marking the 25th anniversary of the first time they dangled a Beetle in an impossible place, completely under the radar.
The scenery is always striking here, where the Burrard Inlet flows along the North Shore. But wait a minute, that's not supposed to be there. A Volkswagen Bug hanging from the Lionsgate Bridge with a telltale E painted on the roof, pointing directly to UBC engineering students. Wearing their red jackets in celebration of Engineering Week, these undergrads won't come right out and admit responsibility, but they do admire the work of whoever engineered the feat.
If UBC Engineering did do stunts, which of course we do not, I would personally be very proud of our students, provided that no one was hurt, no damage was caused.
Well, theoretically speaking,
yes,
one could put a cable harness in place.
They should know they were engineering students at UBC 25 years ago when this happened. The very first VW Bug suspended beneath the Lionsgate. Not that they're fessing up either, but they do feel honored the work is still being recognized.
I thought it was an interesting return, particularly given it was 25 years since the original, that it was an interesting restatement of what's become a long-term tradition.
UBC engineering students have been pulling pranks for decades, usually involving Volkswagen Bugs and hard-to-reach places.
Volkswagen Bug off the side of the bridge. There it is.
But perhaps their crowning achievement, and their most controversial, the Golden Gate Bridge stunt of 2001, the one that truly put them on the college caper map.
Certainly garnered a lot of attention and something that hasn't been replicated down in the U.S. So I'd say they're pretty well world class.
It's, I think, an expression of can do. It says we have a vision and we're going to make that happen.
Well, this latest engineering vision was quickly dismantled, probably by another engineer. And while the UBC students of past and present won't officially step up to take a bow for the work, well, they sure have fond memories of these escapades they deny being a part of.
All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Media Watch. From all of us at iNet, thanks for watching.
Peace out.